Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Oh my God. As you know,
It's been listened to the local yokels we just recorded.
All right.
See, this is the one.
We're back.
Oh my God. As you know,
If you didn't listen to the local yokels we just recorded, please go check it out. Otherwise, welcome to Matinee Edition.
welcome to Matinee Edition, the first Matinee Edition of the year. It is episode 61. Not a lot of tons of news right out the gate on January, but it's not necessarily. It's kind of dry. It's kind of a dry spell.
It's a bit of a dry spell.
I think like the only juicy things I have, like I found a couple of random tidbits of the juicy news, but most of this podcast today will just be talking about stuff that we watched over the next year or over the last year or so as like general recommendations, I guess, if you haven't watched it. Or
Best of 2020 definitive list. Don't listen to anyone else.
Don't listen to. There are no other authorities on this matter.
Best movie of 2020, Wonder Woman 84.
Oh,
Second best movie, Mulan.
oh my God. Controversial statements.
No, I'm just, you know me, dude. I just like to sow discord.
I mean, dude, if anybody listened to the last podcast that we did, the last Matinee Edition, oh my God, they would know our feelings on Wonder Woman.
Spoiler alert, it fucking sucked.
It was so disappointing, but
We'll get the news tidbits out of the way first.
yeah. So, real
Wanda?
shocker. It's MCU related. Yeah. WandaVision is slated. It's slated to drop in on the 15th of this
I
month.
think so.
We got I saw that it's only going to be a 9-episode season
With a 2-episode premiere. Am I correct?
Yeah. And I'm just dumbfounded by that. Like, I get that perhaps they're doing like shorter seasons with like high quality. I mean, as you know, we talked about the trailer. Like, it looks like ridiculous. It looks like a fucking movie. I mean,
It looks great.
And so maybe that's it. But I'm like, I saw the 9 episodes and I was like, I know that's not going to be enough. As soon as it ends, you're just going to want more.
It's going to be weekly, which is nice. But then we got to keep in mind, we are getting more. As soon as it ends, we get fucking Falcon the Winter Soldier, which is going to be 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And then that ends, and we get Loki as soon as it ends.
Yep. Damn, dude. So you're right, man. We're in for MCU.
This is how Disney Plus should have launched. I mean, we'll get into talking about our best of 2020 with like the Mandalorian and stuff, but fuck, dude, this is how it should have been.
This is what people wanted out of the gate, yeah. But I'm excited for that show either way. I think it's awesome that they're going to do a 2-episode premiere because people are just going to eat it up, and so I think it's a good gauge. I think didn't the boys that's what they did, right? They did a 2-episode premiere. No, they did 3. They did 3, and then they rolled out the other 4 or 5 episodes weekly, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought, I think stuff like that's smart, man, because people have where we're at with consuming entertainment. Some people want to binge, some people want to savor, and I think that's a good healthy, you get to binge a little of the season right off the bat, and then you just savor the rest.
I mean, we've talked about this in the past, and I feel like it was Stranger Things season 3 was an absolute blast. It was really fun to watch, but it didn't stay in the public discourse for very long.
Yeah.
And it's a symptom of binge culture.
Yep.
It's why the fuck was Game of Thrones the talk of the town for 8 years?
For real though. And I mean, similarly though, with Stranger Things, that happened to The Boys. The first season, it dropped and everybody just gobbled it the fuck up. And then it was nobody was talking about it after like a month, basically, because everybody had like, it was over. We're on to the next thing. And I think companies would be smart to like pay attention to that and know that like some shows can handle like the binge crowd.
Yeah, totally.
Some shows are worth trying to like make people.
It's gotta be. I think it does have to be the shorter form stuff though. Like,
oh, for sure.
A lot of the content that will explode when it comes to binge worth stuff. It's these shorter series that have a more cinematic feel. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if like after Falcon and the Winter Soldier is completely out, like that would hold like that would be a really good binge show.
Oh yeah.
But like WandaVision, where I can assume it's going to be like a different sitcom every episode, then you're good splitting that up.
For sure. Well, and like I guess like that's a totally good point because even Feige during their presentation, he described Falcon and Winter Soldier as basically a movie that's been broken down into 6 parts.
Yeah.
And so, and he didn't describe WandaVision like that. So I think that's a good difference, like notable difference between the two when they come out. But yeah, I mean, like really, like I was saying, like that's one of the only bits of news that I think is like relevant at the moment. There's stuff coming out of the other camp, out of Warner Brothers, that's kind of interesting. But as we've talked about on this podcast before, it's always like it gets your hopes up and then like it never pans out. And so like some of those things, it's like we the news dropped that Joaquin Phoenix did accept a $50 million contract or whatever to do it sounds like multiple Joker sequels.
Yeah.
Not just one. I think the story dropped last year, like it was like one, he was gonna do another sequel for 50 million. I was like, that's fucking nuts. Like,
yeah.
But they're also like, they're also teasing that they're crossing over stuff. So that's kind of what
I heard them talking about like Keaton and stuff.
Yeah. So they've apparently officially written out not written out, but they've replaced Ben Affleck's Batman with Michael Keaton as like the mainstay Batman. So like he's like one of the main Batman in their multiverse. Yeah. And they're gonna
do that in Flashpoint, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And they're gonna be attaching that and making it apparent that even Pattinson's Batman is set in their multiverse. And like there's some sort of they're building to like some sort of interaction between these different universes that
watch him be like,
but
it all was in a different cinematic universe. Like it's all different. Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Disney.
By the time they get to Crisis on Infinite Earths, they will have so many, like a mishmash of random, totally different, definitely isolated movies that all were mediocre, but then they're going to validate it by doing Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Well, and that's the thing, like that. I mean, essentially, that's what they do. That's what they do in the comic industry, right? So, like, what led to Crisis on Infinite Earths was the fact that they had all these different canon happening with these characters that nobody could keep track of. Like it was like, and so it was just wildly all over the place. So they're basically just like, all right, we're going to condense it down and say like we're going to destroy everything, and we're going to say that this is the main universe now. So like
they did that
these comics.
And then less than a decade later, they did the same thing with Flashpoint, and then brought in the New 52.
Actually,
and now the New 52 isn't a thing anymore.
Even before that, they did a story in like the mid 2000s called Infinite Crisis.
Oh,
and that was them bringing the fucking multiverse back, and it was just like, it's just so weird. And the MCU does it also, but like in a different way. And
I feel like the MCU does it.
The Marvel
comics,
the 616. They do it.
616 just sort of like a few years ago, they just like collapsed the multiverse, and we're like, we're fucking done with it. There's gonna be like 3 different universes that we're running with.
Exactly. And so, I mean, they both major companies do it. And so it's just interesting to watch as they, as Marvel in the MCU adapts the multiverse into their cinematic universe, and supposedly Warner Brothers is going to do that also.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, I'm kind of excited because it gives a chance for a wide array of stories. But I don't know, like I'm almost thinking that like the that Warner Brothers is waiting to see what the MC. At first, I thought they were going to try and beat him to the punch, but I think it seems like they're maybe waiting to see what the MCU does in order to see like how you can pull it off.
I would be willing to put money down at this point after Wonder Woman 84 that the MCU will do it better.
Oh God, dude. I mean, you know, I love the DC characters, but it's like it's true.
Here's
like,
my problem. Here's my problem with DC. I don't think we brought this up in the Wonder Woman thing. Is that they are like, it feels like every character has the Superman problem. Of like, it's difficult to write a compelling story, especially for film with Superman, because he's a fucking god.
Well, yeah,
he's untouchable. Like kryptonite is literally the only thing,
and magic,
excluding like Shazam. Yeah, like Shazam and that shit.
Yeah,
but still, that makes it so difficult to be compelling. So I feel like Marvel, they have these like crazy multiverse events, but less frequently, because I think the stories with the DC characters get stale faster. So like we have to shake everything up.
Yeah.
Like why do you think Batman's the most compelling DC character? Hot take, but
it's true. It's kind of true though. I mean, like, but no, you're absolutely right, because I mean, and DC's long had that problem. All of their characters, all of their main characters are so iconic just because they've been around for so long. And they've, you know, guest spot by Bo, yeah.
There he is.
But it's
don't hate on DC.
Yeah, he's like, come on, Batman's cool. But no, but
Batman's great. Don't get me wrong.
It's the truth though. Like they've always ran into that problem because people expect so much from their characters that it's like they don't ever have a chance to break away from like the image that people have in their like minds in terms of like popularity of the characters and like what the character development actually should be. And so it's this weird thing. But Marvel has done an amazing job of like navigating that path. Their characters are also pretty iconic. Hold on. Get out of here, you
got to take care of the dog.
Get.
Leave it in.
Yeah, I just called my puppy Scum. He's still outside the door. Anyway, but Marvel, like what they do is like they have long-standing characters, and there's history there now, and there's a lot behind it, but they found like this way of like continuing to grow their characters. Like Captain America is a great example, because you think he's like a one-dimensional person. Yeah. But they've like found ways to like have his character.
Another fucking dog's barking on my end.
We're cursed. But they found ways to just develop their characters and keep the iconic status that they have. Yeah. And I think that's something I love DC characters, but that's something that they like have just not taken note of or figured out on their end.
There's literally a Flash comic from like a year ago, and where the Flash is hopping between worlds, and he ends up in a world like an alternate DC universe where all the characters are essentially like discount X-Men.
Okay.
And he absolutely wipes the floor with them. And I'm pretty sure I saw that panel on Instagram just being like, this perfectly exemplifies how god tier every DC character is against these, what would be in the Marvel context, ridiculously powerful mutants.
Yeah. And that's, you know, they've built them up so far that it's like, they're having a hard time like pulling that back. You know, once you say that the Flash can travel, you know, like
through time,
he can run. Yeah, he basically can run so fast that he can create interdimensional rifts. You know, he can vibrate his particles to transfer to different universes. Like, dude, how do you stop that? Like, what thing do you put in the way to like make a conflict for that character?
I remember a few years ago, there's a big deal, Superman, new power. And it was like he would create this like essentially nuclear blast around himself, but then he wouldn't have powers for like a day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did you ever see that?
I did, and I mean the thing is like
some crazy shit, but
yeah, dude. Like the thing is like, and that again comes to like all that weird canon. Like they give particularly Superman like these wild abilities, and then they like try to like act like it never happened, and that's just not how it works with with the comics. Like you know, like stuff like there's like a Golden Age comic where like Superman's like flies into space in this huge hurry because he has to sneeze, and he sneezes and like 3 planets get blown off course or something like that. And it's like, you know, out of orbit, and it's like that's fucking insane. Like that.
Yeah. There's another one where it's like Superman like shoots out a tiny version of himself.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. There's all the stories, man. We could do a whole podcast just like about like offshoot Superman powers. Like,
yeah, I mean, and then we can touch on the one Batman. Like with Batman, you can be just like, oh, Bruce Wayne invented something. Like, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah,
like
fair.
That's his powers don't skew that far. There is that one time that a bunch of people from Arkham Asylum broke out that weren't like dangerous criminals, but were actually mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
And he hung one of them with a bat chopper and said that he'd be better off.
Yeah. You know, there's some dicey elements to, yeah. Well, and that's a great example.
Batman doesn't kill, but he does put them out of their misery.
He's doing them favors, people. Okay.
Yeah.
God damn. But yeah, you know, I mean, aside from hopes and dreams from Warner Brothers, it's you know, it's all unbelievable until it happens at this point. Except the one thing that was like I was just disgusted by. And that was that like supposedly they're trying to open up talks to have a HBO series about Amber Heard's Mira. And I was like, that sounds like the least compelling thing I've ever fucking heard. Like I've never wanted to care about a comic storyline less.
You've ever heard?
But
wham.
Other than that, that's all the news I got for you, hot dogs. That's all the fresh stuff. Okay.
We got 15 minutes left. Why don't we just hop into what our favorite stuff was in 2020? A shitty year, but there was definitely good media that came out of it.
Yeah.
Let's start with the 2 obvious ones. Starting with Mandalorian. We've talked about it at length on this show.
Oh goddamn, yes we have. Definitely probably at least in my top 3, probably if not my top show this year. Yeah. Just because and honestly, I still have like this like fanboy moment every time I close my eyes and I see Luke Skywalker light his lightsaber up. I'm like, oh my God. Well, it's just
until he pulls the hood off and you see the bad deep fake.
Yeah. I will say, as like nice as it was to try and squeeze Mark Hamill in there, I was really hoping that it was going to be like Sebastian Stan, you know?
Dude, what blows my mind is you see memes now where it's like that shot but done with like a slightly different software and it looks so much better.
Yeah, and that's what like I was so baffled by that. I was like I know Disney can do better than that. You know, I know Lucasfilm could do better than that. But I mean, either way, it was still just an amazing moment.
That shows really setting up what I think is going to be the future of Star Wars. Like,
absolutely.
Like I did see some people fucking upset about Luke showing up in The Mandalorian. Like they said it was going to be disconnected from the Skywalkers and they're making it all about the Skywalkers. I'm like, it's not really all about the Skywalkers.
No.
In the context of what's happening, like who's the person that's going to fucking train Grogu?
Well, that's the interesting thing is will they follow up exclusively on like the Mandalorian storyline and like where that's leading, you know, or will it become a little bit of like what's going on with Grogu and his training? Or
I think they're writing out Grogu essentially.
Well, that's exactly, and I think that's a smart decision at this point. It was a great thing for the first 2 seasons to carry you all this way, but what people want is not more of like Luke Skywalker and Jedi stuff at the moment. They want. I mean, we want some Jedi stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but they want.
I mean, we're
like
getting Ahsoka.
Exactly, we're getting this new view of like
I mean,
Jedi
like,
and like the Force and like
there was
the
definitely
expanding universe, you know.
There was definitely less hype with Baby Yoda this year,
for sure.
I mean that's partially because we already saw it, but they're really setting the groundwork for some of these characters that hadn't had like their chance in the sunlight from the other series of Star Wars that are widely loved, like the Clone Wars, like Rebels. Like they're widening the universe in an interesting way. Like we're definitely going to see Mandalore get taken back, or like an attempt to take back Mandalore. Yeah, like that's fucking exciting that they're doing something different.
I agree, man, and then that's why that shows will continue to be popular. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Should we go on to the next?
What else you got? What was one of your
Agents
top?
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh God.
We can't forget. It feels like an eternity.
That's one of those shows, dude. That's what I was talking about. Like, it feels like 2020 was so long. That seems like so long ago that I wrapped up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, it's so good though.
But yeah, dude, I loved that last season. I thought it was fantastic. A fantastic way to end that series.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, while also contributing to the multiverse thing with Endgame working.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't fucking know. That would be interesting. That'd be something I'm curious if we're ever going to see anybody from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again, because they purposely left nearly all of them alive.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it'd be I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see if they do some like cameo work with those characters at least, like how they used to do with Clark Gregg, just like plug some of those characters into like a random interaction scene. Dude, just so that they're like out there,
I saw a petition to get Quake in Secret Invasion.
Oh, that'd be fucking dope, dude. Because I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like, she grew as an actor a little bit through that show, but
she's not great.
But it was like, I mean, if you're gonna do Secret Invasion, it would be really cool to try to include that character, because that character does hang like. Nick Fury has his like exclusive squad that he's like off the grid with, and Quake is one of those people. So
yeah, I really feel like the only characters from S.H.I.E.L.D. that were really like retired were Fitzsimmons and Deke, just because Deke's out in like some other world somewhere.
Yeah.
But like May is a teacher, so I mean, like, she's probably not doing much. Coulson's probably not going to show up because they can't like throw Coulson in front of one of the OG Avengers.
Yeah.
But like Mac's still around. You still got Yo-Yo, who's a fucking badass.
Yep.
And like, there's so much potential with those characters. I hope that they stick around.
Absolutely, man.
But we've talked about that show at length, like The Mandalorian. I'd argue more than The Mandalorian, just because it's been around for longer.
Fair.
But like, that show's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's how we like. That's for those who aren't into the deep lore of Matinee Edition. Our idea for Matinee Edition, I'm pretty sure it came up because we were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we were just talking about it so much at work that we were like, we should make a podcast.
Pretty much, man.
Where we can fuck around and joke about Fast and Furious.
Yeah, basically, it was like Fast and Furious and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Without those, this podcast wouldn't have existed.
You'd be sad, listener.
You'd be sad, hot dogs. Yeah, so dude, what else you got?
Oh, yeah. I want to throw out another show I watched. I watched The Queen's Gambit. Did you watch it?
I didn't finish it, but I have started it.
Okay.
It's a fucking phenomenal show so far.
It's really fun. I did see some stuff right when it came out. Like, it's groundbreaking. It goes in a totally different direction. I don't really agree with that.
I don't think it's groundbreaking necessarily.
Yeah. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is great in it. She's super enjoyable to watch. Like, I've heard that she's the only shining light in New Mutants. And
that makes sense.
She's also, I watched Emma the other day, which is
I want to watch it.
Jane Eyre. It's on Hulu. It's not Hulu. It's on HBO.
Yeah.
Kate just yelled from the next, because I keep getting it wrong.
Jane
Austen.
Yeah, Jane Eyre.
She
would call you out on it. She would.
No, but that movie was good. I watched Pride and Prejudice earlier in 2020 and was miserable through it, but Emma was pretty good too.
Pride and Prejudice I think it's designed that way.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was struggling, but that movie was much better.
Yeah. I haven't watched that one yet, but it's been in my queue. I don't know. I guess I need to check it out for sure. I don't know. Like, it's from my understanding, they also did, like, I don't want to say the 90s, maybe the early 2000s. There was like a Gwyneth Paltrow version of that same story.
Yeah. I remember Kate mentioned that to me, that that's been a story that's been done a couple times.
Yeah. And so it's kind of always interesting to like check out those kind of like not reoccurring, but sort of like stories that like do kind of have different versions, like in terms of movies and stuff, just to see like if there's like which one did it better, kind of.
Yeah, totally. I mean, do you have any shows that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, how I say this, I became addicted to the Great British baking.
Oh God, yeah,
last
how did
year,
I forget?
and that opened up a door to a whole bunch of other shit. But
How far are you into the Great British Baking Show?
oh, I've definitely watched it all.
Oh, you're up to date?
Yeah, I started at the very first season, and I've watched
Dude,
it all the way up to.
I did the same thing this year.
It's so good, so good.
It's ridiculously good.
It's pleasant. It's enjoyable. The baking
Talk about
is
wholesome
fantastic.
content that just got me through 2020. And like while all this sad shit was happening out in the world,
yeah,
I would wake up and watch an episode of the Great British Baking Show.
Well, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, is because it really was like, I don't care what people think otherwise, but it's just like, it was really like a pleasant thing to like have. It wasn't like abrasive. It's not like
it's not fucking Hell's Kitchen. It feels like American reality TV buys so much into the drama.
Yeah.
But like that show proves that there's just inherent drama when you get to like people.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. They just did it. It's just a fun show to watch. So
this last season, like there was like a string of like 5 episodes where me and Kate were watching, and it was like our favorite fucking people got voted off or kicked off one by one.
Yeah.
Starting with fucking Lottie, who reminded me of one of our mutual friends. But
sorry, what?
But like that show, and I was so fucking happy when Peter won. Spoilers if you haven't finished the Great British Baking Show.
Spoilers for the Great British Baking Show. But seriously though, it's I mean, I definitely recommend, like, if you just need something chill to watch, something like enjoyable, you just start that season 1. You just watch it all the way up to where it's.
What's another really wholesome but slightly less relaxing cooking show that I watched the entirety of this year?
What?
MasterChef Junior.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever watched a MasterChef Junior.
Dude, it's good shit. You feel terrible about yourself sometimes because of how good of cooks these kids are.
Fair.
But like I remember watching the first season one with like my mom, but then I was like, we need something to watch that's like relatively uplifting. Like nothing's more funny than like the side-by-side compilations of Gordon Ramsay on Hell's Kitchen, and then him with like a kid going like, you know who my favorite chef is? You.
Well, I mean, that's kind of one of the. I mean, I remember watching the Hot Ones with Gordon Ramsay.
Oh yeah,
and like it's like
bad Hot Ones episode, by the way.
Just seeing that, oh god, dude! But just seeing that man like in like a room with kids just seems so. I mean, it's gotta be the draw of that show, but it just seems so wrong because like all you see is all you see are clips of Ramsay just going, you shit eater, like just fucking yelling at people. I'll have to check that shit out though.
It's surprisingly good. It's all on Hulu. I wanted to mention one more show and now it is escaping me.
I've got a couple more I'm gonna shout out.
We got 3 minutes.
I really got down hard on Cobra Kai. I'm just going to throw it out there. Oh, dude,
I've heard that's great.
Dude, so Cobra Kai, it definitely has its, like, kind of teen moments, I'd say.
Yeah.
But
so did Karate Kid.
Well, dude, it plays so well on those characters that it's just like it's what's amazing to me about it is that like you get introduced to all these characters throughout like the first season and whatnot. And you watch like all of them have really good like character arcs.
Yeah.
And it's so uncanny to me to see like a show with so many characters that have such good development. And it continues on into the second season. It continues on. We binge watched the whole 10 episode third season that just dropped at the beginning of the month. And it's, it like everything keeps compelling you. Like there's cliffhangers and like good endpoints for the seasons that like make you want to be like, oh shit, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And I mean, at times, like I said, at times there's definitely some cheese on there. There are a couple of parts in this new season where there was like those like shots of like the Karate Kid movie playing while like Ralph Macchio's looking out the window and it's like on the window or whatever. God. It was so, it was so like some of that stuff, but I think
good melodrama.
Well, I think they do that kind of shit like to kind of emulate like how like the movies were like hit that like the original couple movies were like with those weird cheesy elements. But again, like fucking fun show. The characters all develop really well, and I definitely suggest checking it out. There's 3 seasons now, and they're going to be working on the 4th one this year. So
sick. We'll have to watch. I'll have to check it out. I would be down. I'll have to convince Kate to watch it.
Yeah, dude, it's fun. The only other random thing I wanted to shout out was there's this documentary series on HBO called about the Heaven's Gate cult. And
I heard that's fascinating.
It was so fucking good, dude. It was so fascinating to dig into that because we all have heard about the mass suicide and everything.
Yeah.
But like it's some weird shit. Like and it was just really interesting to like kind of dig more into that.
I will quickly throw in one more thing. Chef's Table Barbecue. If we're talking documentary series, Chef's Table Barbecue was on the money.
Dude, I that's in my queue. I haven't watched it yet. I know it's one I just want to give my attention to because I love barbecue. So
the Chef's Table can be sort of douchey sometimes, like a bit bro-y, chefy type stuff. But the barbecue one's like really strips all that away. It's just the fundamentals of beautiful cooking. So highly recommend. I'm a sucker for that show anyway.
I feel like it's just a lot of cooking. We watch a lot of cooking shows, but the other one, I mean, like to enjoy that I dug kind of like more wholesomely was the Jon Favreau's chef show.
Chef shows. Yeah,
it's so fucking it's just so fucking fun, man.
And the movie Chef is also great.
The movie Chef's fantastic, and I actually technically think I watched it in 2020, so we'll shout that one out.
Filmed on the backlots during Iron Man 2 production.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking rad, dude. I didn't know that. Well,
that's why RDJ's in it and Scarlett Johansson.
Fair enough. Yeah, man. I mean, those are just, like, I guess those are just like a real.